coming to you from the all-new Live House in Hollywood, California.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to this week's episode in Pensado's Place. He's Dave. I'm Herb. Yep. We're coming off of Grammy Week. We even have a Grammy winner. And speaking of the Grammys, one of the most fun things I did was slow down my DVR to where it just crawls because the credits would go by so fast. And not everything has credits. So Chongo and I later went through everything to find credits to just see the number of people that had been on the show who were involved in the Grammys. And it was quite a large number.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, and so it's kind of cool to see our friends get recognized. Some of them were performing, like Mike Dean. You have to give a shout out to Maureen Droney, who obviously is involved in putting it on. We had some current winners that have recently been on the show. Rance Dobson, who did NAMM with us.
Yeah.
Greg Wells won, Leslie Braithwaite with Cardi, and our current guest, who you'll meet in a minute. So it's kind of cool to see that our friends are being recognized and are current, right?
Yeah, exactly. One of the moments I liked was when Drake said that when he looks out at an audience and sees people singing along with one of his songs that he's already won. I thought that was a neat way to put it. You know, that was a great moment.
Same thing. We see people singing along to Pensado's Place, and they're
You're at the place.
Yeah, well, that is true. So congrats to all of our Grammy winners and Grammy friends. Really incredible. You're going to meet a Grammy winner in a minute. But first, if you would, please like, subscribe, and click notify, and we always appreciate that. And what is on the Into the Layer landscape, Mr. Pensado?
Mixing bass for small speakers. Sometimes on your big speakers in the control room, you hear the bass amazing, then you go to a cell phone and you can't hear it, so I'm showing you how to do that.
Good deal. Roll it.
I want to share with you some things that I might have hinted at in the past, but I've kind of been using it a lot lately, so I wanted to see what you guys thought. We run into this situation where we're on larger speakers and our low end and our bass and kicks just sound massive. And then we go to smaller speakers and the bass disappears, you can't hear it. So I'm going to give you a technique that I use and show you some of the concepts behind it. Think of it this way. What I'm trying to do is when you hear the big speakers, you don't hear the information we're adding that you can hear on the little speakers. When we're listening to the little speakers, we don't hear the bass information that's hiding the little speaker information. So think of when you were a kid, you're playing hide and seek and you're hiding behind a cardboard box. Well, you can't be seen, but when you move the box, all of a sudden you're there. Heck, let me just show you what I'm doing. That'd be easier, wouldn't it? So it's a process, and it's a little bit of trial and error. The plugin I use a lot is Max Bass from Waves. It's an oldie, but it's a goodie. It's got a younger son called R-Bass, but this gives you an option. See this orange line? This is the frequency range that we want to hide behind this frequency range. So let me show you something. Here's without any of this.
I sent you a message. Did you get it? Or not?
This is Nabu, my friend. So now let's add the frequency that's going to help us.
I sent you a message. Did you get it? Or not?
It very subtly creeps in. Now, find some little speakers real quick. I'll give you a chance to go get them. Now watch this kind of disappear, and all of a sudden this frequency pops out.
I sent you a message. Did you get it? Or not? I can't be forgotten. Are we finished? For now.
Okay, you got that? Now, what I like to do sometimes is I like to take a low pass filter, and I like this angle right here to be sharp and as vertical as possible. There's not a lot of places you can find this. It's this one right here on UAD. And this gives me a little color, controls the frequencies below which I don't want, but also it adds a bit of a resonant sound. If I make this bigger, you can kind of see what's going on at that intersection. And this is beautiful, and then this is beautiful too. And these frequencies help also with the little speakers. All right, so now let's check out what we're doing. Now I'm adding a little sub with this plugin, Low Air. It's a tricky plugin to use. I've just now really kind of figured out how to use it. And then this isn't doing anything, so. Do me a favor, repeat that on your smaller speakers, and then repeat it once again on your larger speakers. So the concept is we're hiding information behind the low end information, that when the low end goes away, that new information pops out at you. And when you're doing it with a bass, you want it to be somewhere in, I don't know, 100 range to maybe 250, 300. Now the system works really well on an 808. I'll try my best to show it to you using an 808 real soon, so keep an eye out for that. Multiple uses. You can hide things behind a vocalist, and when they get a little thin in the upper range, this comes in behind it. So think of some unique ways to use this technique. It's not just for bass. Thanks guys for dropping by, much appreciated.
Incredible. 7 Grammy nominations, but won his first one this week. We are pleased to welcome to the place a compatriot, somebody who does some things that we do and he does them really well. Please welcome producer LLMIND.
Thank you guys so much for having me,
man?
Dave.
Good to see you again.
Yes, sir.
Glad to have you here, man.
Yeah, it's an honor. It's an honor.
Listen, we sort of stalked you, so
Oh, man, come on.
but we got you on a good week. So congratulations on the Grammy. Tell us what it was for and who it was with.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm kind of still coming off the high,
No,
so it's
keep
like
it.
it's a little unbelievable still. But no, it's for a record I did called Heard About Us.
We got some meth here.
Meth? Okay, cool.
Oh, right, cool. No, again, tell us who it was from.
Yeah, it was a record for, and like saying it is even like pretty weird for me,
Right.
but for Jay-Z and Beyonce, the Carter's album.
New artist.
Yeah, brand new. I don't know if you heard of them
Yeah,
before.
not yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One's a rapper, one's a singer.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yep. But it's a song called Heard About Us that I produced with Boy Wonder,
Nice.
Jahan Sweet and Vinyls. And shout out to Amnesia for co-writing the record too. Yeah, it's just a pleasure to be a part of it. And we won a Grammy for it, so.
Congratulations, man.
Thank you.
And you had 7 nominations before that.
7 nominations over the course of like 3 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't realize it was that compressed amount of time.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it's crazy because like my journey was like a pretty long one, you know, and a lot of people, I think a lot of my newer fans or people that are hip to me, they're not really familiar with like the 6 or 7 years prior to that I like ate shit and did not like,
Yep.
you know, and had
Yep.
nothing.
Yep.
And so my first Grammy nod was in 2014
Always as a producer?
as a producer for a song I did with J. Cole.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And then
Gotcha.
from there, every year I had at least one nomination. So it's been pretty wild.
How does a project come together for a Jay-Z and Beyonce? A lot of people write songs, but they don't go that far. What was the difference? Was it Boy Wonder? Did he help a little bit, or?
1,000%. You know,
So you have his number? Yeah.
I might have his numbers somewhere.
That's what it takes.
Yeah, you know what? 1,000% Boy Wonder. You know,
Okay.
but to me, I sort of like, I always go back and think about like, what did I do that led up to
Yeah. What was that?
And so this is, when I think of Boy Wonder, this is my belief of how it happened. From the mid-2000s to around 2010, when I was doing a lot of underground stuff, working with, you know, like highly respected underground rappers like Sky Zoo and Little Brother and, you know, being around Ninth Wonder and Fontaine, those guys. I think the music I was making during that time period sort of put me in this category of like, okay, this is this kid LLMIND. He's like a respected, like boom bap, soulful kind of producer from, you know, New York. And I think potentially, I never had a conversation with Boy Wonder directly about this, but I think maybe that work sort of got on his radar as a producer and sort of gained his respect, you know, along the way. And then obviously his work with not only Drake, but like Eminem and all these guys.
But you used to message him at some point, didn't you?
I did, yeah. So like, I think somewhere along the line, we sort of respected each other's art to where in 2000, I want to say 12, we started following each other on Twitter and we DM'd each other like, hey, huge fan, you know, we should work. And from there, we just started working and we caught our first placement in 2015 with Drake, so.
Was the journey from Boy Wonder to Ninth Wonder, what did you do with Second Wonder through Eighth Wonder?
No, it was wonderful.
That's good.
Okay.
Yeah,
Nice.
it's pretty wonderful.
Good. But I think very good. One of the things that we were talking about before the cameras, before the show started, was kind of your own standard. And for Boy Wonder to notice what you were doing had a lot to do with what you were doing and the way you were doing it. And it stood out for somebody for some reason. And sometimes we try to, you know, make sure that the audience understands you can't put too much into your own standard.
No.
It is literally your equity. It's your life equity. And if you shortchange it, you're shortchanging yourself.
Yeah, it's so true.
Does that agree?
Yeah, it's so true. And like, if someone were to ask me, hey, LLMIND, like, how do I get a placement with Jay-Z and Beyonce? Or how do I get a Grammy? You know, and when I explained to them, like, how I did it, the correct answer would be, in 2006, I decided to work with underground rappers. That's how I got my Grammy. Because if I didn't do that, I may or may not have got on Boy Wonder's radar for him to want to work with me and for us to create that record and then bring, you know, vinyls and Jahan Sweden and stuff. And so it was just like this perfect storm that led to it. So like, there really is no formula to this stuff.
Right.
I just think you kind of have to trust your instinct and make music and allow for it to unfold, you know?
One other soft skill point. It doesn't hurt that Boy Wonder is a great dude.
Exactly.
Right? Like,
Exactly.
there are sometimes, some people have intentions that are sometimes not always the best. Other people are clear in what they do. I know in all of our interaction with Boy Wonder and his camp, it is above board, quick, efficient. He's appreciative, never acts like a star, like loves music. Is that
1,000%.
and that makes a difference, right?
Huge difference. I think, first of all, and no disrespect to Pharrell, obviously, all the people nominated were rightfully there.
Sure.
I personally think he should have won the Grammy, but it goes back to what Drake said about the whatever. But Wanda, to me, is leading the forefront of shifting the music production culture of hip hop into a collaborative standard. Cool. You know, when you look at the 2000s, and again, this is obviously no disrespect because they're all legendary. You know, if you saw a record produced by the Neptunes, it was the Neptunes. If you saw a record by Timbaland, it was Timbaland. You didn't really see, rarely did you see a record that was, you know, produced by Timbaland, Swizz Beatz, you know, Just Blaze all on one record. That would have been epic if it did happen, obviously.
Right.
But nowadays, when you look at production credits, you're seeing multiple producers on one thing. And my belief is that Boy Wonder really is leading the charge on that. So he's an amazing just human being for that.
Let's talk about Boy Wonder. He just came out with a sample pack that it's incredible.
Yep.
And you, in a way, a sample pack kind of got you going too, right?
Yeah.
Explain that.
Yeah, so in 2011, I had this idea of releasing my own drum kit. And, you know, back then, especially when it was like the era of like the beat machines and stuff, you know, producers were getting their drums from like, you know, breaks from records. And I remember those little, you know, CDs with the 99 breaks on them.
Right.
And, you know, stuff like that. So like, the places we got our drums were sort of like unorthodox. There really wasn't a marketplace for it yet, necessarily. So, and if you were an active music producer, you weren't putting your own drum kits out.
Right.
You know, at that time, it was super frowned upon. Like, if DJ Premier put a drum kit out in 2008, people would clown him, you know, and that would be super unfortunate. So, you know, it was this sort of culture of like, no, those are my drums. Like I can't share these. They're like my babies. And so I kind of went against the grain and I told myself, I'm wondering if people out there want LLMIND drums or would be interested in that. Because back then I was sort of known for my drum work, and I guess I still am. And so I just did it. So I created a little PayPal, button on my blog, and I named it Blap-Kit, Volume 1, 150 ill-mind drum sounds. And I literally put it out, PayPal, and I didn't really promote it. I just put it out. And then so I woke up the next morning really not thinking anything of it. And I looked at my PayPal account, and there was like $2,500 in there.
You're like, oh, let's do more
I
of this.
was like, oh, okay.
Okay.
People want
Something
this,
here.
yeah. And it was $20. So I went to my email, and I saw like hundreds of emails. So I was literally replying to every single person. Thank you so much here's the download link. Thank you for your purchase, dude, blah, blah, blah. And then from there, it became a thing. And then I eventually created a real website through Shopify.
Sure.
And then it sort of turned into this whole culture, business. So
There's a Blap business.
There is.
Blap drum kits, BLAPCHAT. Wait, I'm missing a Blap something.
You have BLAPCHAT, Blap-Kits. That's really it. Just those two.
BLAPCHAT,
Yeah.
BLAPKits.
Oh.
Yeah.
People call me Blap God every once in a
That
while.
was the one I was missing, was Blap God. So I think the entrepreneurial side of particularly folks who are creatives in the hip hop space, they seem to me one feeds the other. I think that there's a hunger to find things that you can either build your business off of or make your music better or have your own tools or something. Do you see that a lot? I see that a lot in the business. Do you?
1,000%.
Yeah.
Yeah, 1,000%. I mean, but the interesting thing about it is, like when you're, and obviously I'm sure you guys know, when you're like highly creative, a lot of times you don't really, the part of the brain that sort of activates the business side of things often doesn't resonate because you're just like in this creative mode all day. So, that's why you have managers and stuff. And so I just kind of have a passion for both sides of it. Like I'm really fascinated by creating a product or a service that people need and people want and delivering that product or service in a creative way. And that's just something that I'm like really,
What is it about
fascinated
your
by.
drums that you think are your signature that people like?
It's gonna sound cliche, but like drums that just hit hard as fuck. Like creative texture, like, I don't know, texture, creativity, warmth, crispiness, snappy,
Do you actually play or you just program?
I do.
You do play?
Yeah, I'm not good.
I got you.
I play for fun.
Got
but
you.
Me playing doesn't mean I'm good. I'm like not that good. So, yeah.
So when there's productions that you've been successful on, is it mostly programming drums or are you doing other stuff as well?
When I produce, yeah, I pretty much do everything.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'll do the melodies from scratch, drum work, the whole thing. A lot of my collaborations with other producers is mostly like me creating melodies and textures for them. But then it's cool to do it that way because I like putting a bunch of ideas together. Like I'll do, 5 to 10 melody ideas in one day, and then I'll come back to them after a week and like add drums and finish them off. And so, it's cool because it opens up different methods of producing. Sometimes I'll add my own drums. Sometimes I'll have Murder Beats come in and put his drums on it, or Boy Wonder put his drums, or sometimes people send me melodies and I'll do the drums on their melodies. So lately I've just been a huge fan of just collaborating.
How does your ancestry and your background creep into your creativity? I hear a little bit because I'm married to a Filipino woman.
Yeah.
I hear a little bit of that culture creeping into your productions sometimes. Is that subconscious or is it conscious?
I think it's pretty subconscious. Yeah. Shout out to my Filipino people out there. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, when I was growing up, my dad played guitar, and he was in a band. The name of his band was called Fame, Filipino American Music Entertainment.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I love it.
Rest in peace, Pops. He passed in 2010.
Sorry.
But, so growing up, it was him in the band doing weddings, and, they were doing cover songs and stuff. It was weddings, it was New Year's, so as a kid, I would just, like, go with him to his shows.
Yeah.
And he would play guitar, and it was this whole thing. And so in addition to like that being sort of like a big impact on me, he was, a big like record collector. So he had all different types of records. Like he has this rare like Filipino jazz record called Pinoy Jazz. And that was actually the first record that I sampled off of, that I made my first like hip hop beat on.
I'll be done.
Yeah. So he has that record. So he had jazz. He had, he was like a big classic rock dude. And so that, and then I remember, like every weekend we would go up to the Bronx, and all of my like titos and titas, my aunties and uncles would be there, and they would all just like jam out all night. So it'd be my dad on guitar, my uncle on bass, another uncle on vocals, and again I would just be a kid, just drenched in sweat, running around, as a kid. And then at home it was drum sets and guitars everywhere. So it was just, music was just always around.
Yep.
And so that, Dave, like that played a huge part in what I do, I guess, like subconsciously, because when I create music, I'm not really conscious of like genre specifically. Like everything is sort of an accident. So like sometimes you'll hear a little classic rock in something I do, and then there's like real video game heavy influence, and then you'll hear soul and pop. So it's just kind of, I'm like a mashup of everything.
Who were your American influences? Dilla, J. Cole?
Yeah, man, Dilla. I think Dilla is the greatest hip hop producer of all time, in my opinion. But you have Pete Rock, DJ Premier, obviously Quincy Jones. All his entire catalog is insane to me. There's so many. RJD2, Dan the Automator, Timbo, Pharrell. The obvious guys. Just so many. There's so much good music.
When you're creating, what's your rig setup? What are you creating on?
It's pretty straightforward. So I have a laptop.
Don't tell them.
Oh, you don't need it? You don't want it?
Well, it's embarrassing.
It's a secret? Okay, yeah, it is.
No,
embarrassing.
it's not embarrassing.
Okay, so it's basically my hands, couple pots and pans, bathtub every so often for reverb.
And do you stick on the
sticks usually that I carve from branches?
Okay.
In my backyard.
And you're in the tub while you're doing this?
Yes, yeah, I carve in the tub, yeah.
Okay, okay, cool.
And there's ice cold water in the tub too, by the way, just ice cold.
Does it have any effect on you?
It does.
And what would that
cools me down a little bit.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
the cooler I am, the more creative I am, so that's why I do it.
Is there a way to get this conversation back on track?
Yeah, so what I was going to tease him about was not too many people do beats inside of Pro Tools. It's getting better and more, but you use Pro Tools instead of Live or one of the other ones.
So when people ask me what I use and I tell them Pro Tools, they're like, oh, cool, so what else do you use? And I'm like, no, I make beats in Pro Tools. And so the reason why I make beats in Pro Tools is because I used to use an ASR-10 keyboard, which I'm sure you guys are familiar with, obviously. And so I bought an ASR-10 at Guitar Center for $500 because I was broke, so I saved up for it. I bought it, and the floppy drive was broken, so I couldn't save anything. So, and the ASR-10 is mono out, so I was forced to track all of my instruments into Pro Tools. I had a Digio 1 back then, into Pro Tools, every instrument, and then I would have to line everything back up in Pro Tools. And so I was forced to sort of teach myself how to use Pro Tools. So I would, line up the waves, and then I would kind of pan left and right, reverb. And then in 2010, I decided to just make a beat in Pro Tools to see if I would like it, and I did, and I just never looked back.
To be fair, Pro Tools has really moved into the future in terms of MIDI now. The MIDI's after 12. All the MIDI updates.
Oh, yeah.
It's a very creative tool. You can also throw stuff into a session, have it automatically go in time, go in pitch. It's not like it used to be.
It's amazing.
It's amazing.
And I feel like to me, it's like the true, like, blank slate. You don't really get a color. Do you agree with that? Like, I feel like Pro Tools doesn't really have like a color. So, but not only that, like, the way my brain works creatively, I like creating songs in my head. So I don't really want to be like locked into a loop-based system. So like that's why I've never been like an MPC guy or an FL Studio guy, like in the grid. So I like Pro Tools because I can zoom out, I can put markers, I can see where my intro is. I'm like being very mindful of thinking about how this song will look like while I'm making the beat.
So more flexibility.
More flexibility, yeah.
Go ahead.
Are you using a lot of live instruments? Because that's also an advantage of Pro Tools.
For sure. Not like super often.
Right.
I have just like a huge catalog of just like live stuff that I tracked on BPM, and I'll just pitch shift and all that stuff, yeah.
When you're making melodies, are you doing that on a keyboard?
Pretty much
Generally?
keyboards.
Gotcha.
Yeah, keyboards.
Gotcha.
I have a few secret things that I'd rather not disclose.
So they're in the water, in the tub.
They're in the tub.
So nobody can see them.
Can't see that part.
Okay, okay. This is corny, but
What else is there?
I've got medical issues. So speaking of secret sessions, explain.
Secret sessions.
Yeah, like pass the aux.
Oh, okay, the past log stuff.
I tried.
Yeah, they didn't do it well. those are your producers.
We practiced it in the green room. What happened?
Well, no, that was actually good because they are secret sessions, kind of in a way, secret studio location. So, I've been just meeting up with these producers, man. I had an idea to do this tour thing. I had built a studio in 2015, and I had it for 2 years in Brooklyn. And during the last month of that studio, when I decided to end the lease, I wanted to do something cool. So I told myself, let me invite one upcoming music producer to come to my studio and literally hang out with me the whole day. Dude, come in and watch me make beats, or sometimes I would have a session. Like one day I had a session with Dave East, and someone was there with an invite, and they were like a huge Dave East fan, and that like changed their life. So like stuff like that. And so one person per day turned into 2, turned into 5, turned into 20. And then after I closed the studio down, I was like, fuck, I want to keep doing this. So I had rented a studio in New York, did it again, sold out, 20 people. And then we did it in Philly, we did it in Boston, we were going for local markets, and it was selling out everywhere. And so fast forward to about a year and a half later, we're doing all these markets now, and I have this like tour going for 2019, and it's been so amazing.
Can you tell us the cost?
The cost is $2,500. I'm just kidding. $250.
Take a zero away.
Yeah.
$250?
Yeah.
That's a
$250.
bargain.
Yeah.
How long is it?
So it's from 7 p.m. to 11 p.m. But a lot of times we'll extend it depending on how many people. So it's usually around between 25 to 35 people, I would say. Last night we ended at 2 a.m. It was the longest one.
Wow.
Because it was just such a crazy, the energy, the people, just the energy in there is crazy. It's one of those things where like you kind of have to come and experience for yourself. But basically, like in a nutshell, what to expect from it is you literally just come in and play your music. You play your music, giving you constructive criticism, or sort of like talking about your situation. And the thing that I think is unexpected when you walk in there is you don't realize that you're there to build with your peers and to meet other people that are sort of on your level, like-minded people. And as a creator, you don't really get too many opportunities to do that.
Doesn't exist anymore.
No, it doesn't. Like, where do you have that opportunity? You don't. So this is just kind of one way to open that door up for that, type of thing. And it's been great, man.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah.
So does the phone start ringing now real heavy because of the Grammy and other stuff?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
A little bit. Yeah, a little bit. I mean, it's mostly my manager.
Yeah.
Just give him the load.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I don't know. I mean, it's always been sort of this journey where, regardless of like who's contacting to work and collaborate, like I'm super appreciative of any phone call I get, still to this day.
Do you ever venture outside of the hip hop space and go other places? It seems to me like you have a pretty wide appetite.
Creatively?
Yeah.
Oh, totally.
Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, like, what I want to accomplish is exactly that. Like, I'm sort of like putting energy into non-hip hop stuff. But yeah, I mean, I'm really kind of at this point where I don't want to be boxed in as just this like hip hop producer. But I feel like most producers sort of want that for themselves.
Absolutely.
Where do you see hip hop going? Like in the underground stuff, it's going one way, but in the above ground stuff, it's going another. Where do you see it going in 5 years?
You know what? I don't know.
You think we'll ever get away from 75, or?
I don't know, man. It's such a tough question to answer because
It feels like things are picking up tempo-wise, and
I think they're
like you said,
picking up.
Collaborations.
I think they're picking up, but the funny thing about it is it's up to us. It's up to guys like Boy Wonder and Murder Beats and me to a certain extent, and all these producers who are culturally dictating the sound, but then it's also the songwriters who are choosing the beats, and the artists that are agreeing to, rap or sing over the beats we make. And so I think part of it is our responsibility to push the artists as much as we can to get creative and not be in these boxes that we put ourselves in. So I don't know what it'll sound like, but hopefully I'm, contributing at least a small part to what it could be. But I'm always thinking about pushing forward and doing.
Do you have a go-to mix engineer for your stuff? Or is it different things for?
Not really. I don't really have a go-to engineer. There's actually one engineer. She's amazing. I want to shout her out. I met her a year ago. Her name's Shan. S-I-N. Her Instagram is Conductor Shan. She's an amazing tracking vocal engineer. Like her etiquette and her comping and her playlisting and just her knack for reading a room and knowing like when to speak up and when not to and to troubleshoot is just bar none. And she's just so good. So shout to Shan. She's like my LA sort of like go-to engineer.
And that was actually going to be my second question, is because it strikes me that you'd be aware of this, particularly with your family structure and stuff. Are you seeing more opportunities, more women contributing in the production and engineering space and making marks? Do you see more of that?
1,000%. I'm seeing an increase for sure.
A lot.
I had judged Battle of the Beatmakers in Toronto a couple months ago. It was actually late last year. And it was me, Just Blaze, and Mandy Fresh were judging. And the winner of the battle was a female, Lucy. I think she was 14 years old. And she literally just like destroyed everybody. Her beats were insane. And then, you have amazing producers like Wonder Girl and Track Girl. And there's so many that are just active and doing their thing. So I'd see an increase in it for sure. I want to see more. Yeah.
It brings something to it.
Hell yeah.
Now we got to test your athletic side, long heritage in Brooklyn of, really good athletes and so forth. And a long heritage in the Filipinos of great athletes. So, all right, DP, batter's box, fire away.
Reverb.
Fun.
Virtual synths.
Texture.
Vocals.
Instrument.
Lechon.
Delicious.
I'm trying to slide one in on you. Kick and snare.
Exercise.
Stereo bus.
Essential.
Delays.
Patterns.
808s.
Oh, shaking, rattling.
75 beats per minute.
Go to.
What's the cheapest piece of gear you used on a record that we might know?
Cheapest piece of gear? Does it have to be hardware?
Probably.
No.
We'll take either.
Cheapest piece of gear, like.
I'll allow a plug-in if it's under $25.
Probably the. There's this like little delay machine. I forget the company that makes it. It's like a keychain. And there's like a little keyboard looking thing on it, and you can like slide your thumb up and down on it.
Wow,
and it generates like it takes a sine wave, and you can alter the sine wave from it. So I made a couple sweeps from that. I recorded into Pro Tools, did it, and then put delay and stuff on it, and created like this cool sweep sound. And I put it in one of my sample packs. Wow. And it appeared on one of Drake's albums, I think one of Bruno's albums. Like, I think the Stereotypes may have used one of those sweeps. I could be wrong though. I gotta hit them up about that, but I think they may have used one. And I literally made it on like a little keychain.
How cool is that?
Thing. Yeah. So that and it was like $5. Yeah.
If you get the name, send us a picture and we'll put it on Instagram.
I'll try. That's one of my secret weapons I just disclosed to you guys.
Man, you did good. I'll even say I lost that one.
Cool.
Your heritage continues being proud because you you rounded those bases fast.
Oh man, thank you
Bat
so
speed
much.
was
For
incredible.
those that don't know, lechon is a pork pig. Well, I guess it's opposed to a beef pig.
As opposed to
Say what other kind of
as
pig?
opposed to gluten-free, dairy-free
Yeah,
pig.
exactly.
It's
No, but
gluten free for sure.
Lechon's amazing.
It's the national food of
It is.
of the Philippines.
And rest in peace to Anthony Bourdain, who shouted out
Yeah.
the Philippines for having the most delicious whole pig.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, I'm biased, but I agree with that.
No.
Now we need to all gather and go to lunch.
Let's go get a whole pig, guys.
Yeah, I want the beef pig. Though.
Yeah.
Needless to say that the success is earned
Yeah.
and warranted. Love the vision about wanting to be different and chasing stuff and keeping it changing and pushing the boundaries. I think that's important because when it gets stale, it's up to us to make it not stale.
Yeah.
You know, we're the bakers and chefs and creators and so on and so forth. You always got a home here, man.
Thank you guys so much. And I just really want to say, too, if it wasn't for you guys, there would be no, I believe there would be no culture of, you know, all of this amazing content on YouTube and all these platforms.
Oh, man.
And especially my podcast. Like, you guys really are the top of the starting point, the food chain of birthing and being responsible for all of us. So, like, you guys are the real winners, man.
Let me
Like,
just prepare you. Don't be surprised if you don't see that clip as a promo spot.
oh, yeah? Oh, man. Dude,
We'll
listen.
get to that.
If it is a promo spot, like, could I co-produce that?
Absolutely.
Like, could I do a little,
yeah, we put some sound
could we
design
put some
to
sounds
it.
in there? Like,
Absolutely.
as long as
I
I'm
got a
allowed
spot
to
right here
that.
for a tattoo. I got so many, you know. I got a little spot right here.
Yeah, can you see
let's
it?
go.
Take us home, man.
Man, I think that one of the tools that creative people need to utilize that sometimes we forget about is bringing who we truly are, parts of our culture, into that creative realm, particularly the rhythmic parts. I think I like music that has that in it, and check it out, see what you can do, and listen for it. It really makes a difference. We'll see you next week.